Hello, ladies and gents, boys and girls, people of all ages, sexualities, and identities, and welcome back to another Doctor Who review. And without further ado, let's jump into today's review of, I'm going to guess it's pronounced Scherzo. I do apologise on my pronunciation of that, but let's get into the story. So, what is Scherzo about? Essentially, it's about the Doctor and Charlotte have just escaped their universe after the events of Zagreus, and Charlotte has gone off on a new adventure into an unknown reality where the Doctor is cowering underneath the console. When she asks exactly what he's doing under there, he explains that he's afraid he's in a universe which doesn't need Time Lords or TARDISes, and this fills him with dread. What could be out there? What's in the unknown? And most importantly, what will it do when it finds him? While the TARDIS begins to be eaten away by whatever universe they're in, it turns out that they find themselves in what seems to be an oblivion of nothingness. And all they seem to notice is that they can't seem to speak to each other properly, and the only melody that seems to be playing is their own footsteps, like as if it's being made into some kind of composition. Throughout the course of this audio, in fact, Paul McGann begins to discuss the idea that there was an emperor or a king of a universe in which he pretty much banished the idea of sound itself, and so over time the place became dead and barren. But once he did try to introduce sound back into the universe, the consequences, he became a sound-eating monster and began to devour every living thing that made a sound. Skip ahead back into the story. Turns out that Charlotte and the Doctor have been eating away at a creature that keeps on appearing out of nowhere. After the sound creature is done with it, they begin to devour on what remains of the scraps. After a while, each creature begins to evolve that they devour, and eventually Charlotte realizes that it begins to replicate her own very self. The sound creature selfishly begins to attack them after they refuse to eat Charlotte's body. And then to make matters worse, it seems like everything around them is evolving faster than necessary, so the only way to beat this creature is to evolve themselves. So the pair of them begin to evolve into one single being and end up finally meeting their child. Their child then tries to convince them into giving up their own life and their own existence, to which the Doctor and Charlotte reluctantly begin to change their minds. They realise that the self-sacrifice will allow the creature to go on and live and become an absolute being like anything else in the universe. However, by doing this, it will end both of their journeys here and now. Charlotte eventually manages to convince the Doctor after having a debate with the creature who pretends to be the Doctor as Charlotte's daughter. And the pair of them disregard the creature itself and begin to go off into oblivion, breaking out of the tube and breaking the cycle. Over the course of this audio, however, there is a big test of the Doctor and Charlotte's relationship, and after she says "I love you" to the Doctor, the pair of them truly start to question what their relationship is. Are they companions? Are they friends? Or are they more than that? And this is what the beautiful thing is throughout this whole audio, is this question of what are Charlotte and the Doctor to one another. The Doctor sees himself as nothing more than an immortal being from a pompous race of collar aristocrats, whilst Charlotte is a Edwardian adventurer who just happened to go on the R101, almost end up getting killed, and does get killed due to the web of time, so she's pretty much a living corpse, who ends up travelling around with the Doctor throughout time and space. Over the course of the adventures that we've seen with Charlotte and the Doctor in the first series, the pair of them constantly bicker on history and matters of poetry and so on, and literature in general. But their relationship truly shows that sometimes they are much alike and sometimes they are complete opposites. However, no matter what is the difference between the pair of them, they both secretly love one another. Maybe whether it's a friendly sort of love that makes them cherish each other for the things that they do for each other, or a more emotional love that combines the universe and makes it explode into pieces. Charlotte also has an argument with the Doctor after he stupidly mentions that he didn't believe he ever meant it when he said that he loved her, as he believed it was only an emotional response to the fact of losing her. Which, to be fair, would pretty much kind of unequivocally point to the latter, that he definitely indeed did love Charlotte all along. Now, the sound creature is a very interesting one because I can't lie, it kind of reminds me of the Midnight Creature, except from this time it's not a planet full of diamonds and it's a dimension in the middle of nowhere where we eventually find out the Doctor and Charlotte have been going around in a tube, round and round in circles. The idea of them going in circles is kind of a really good idea to point towards the idea of insanity. I mean, how would anyone handle it in a universe where the laws of physics are devised by absolute nonsense? Nothing works the same way it does in your universe, so you have to adapt. As the Doctor says, if they don't evolve, they will fall behind, like the dinosaurs to modern man. I also love the theme and really would love to see one thing that they done in this audio on screen someday is I love the idea of the TARDIS being eaten apart by some alternate universe. We've had many times in Doctor Who on screen where the TARDIS has been attacked or it's slowly dying, but we've never truly had something as powerful as in this episode, in which the Doctor's TARDIS literally starts to degrade around him. It's as if he doesn't have a hiding spot to hide. The console's not going to protect him. The doors are not going to protect him. And Charlotte very quickly identifies this and goes, we've got to leave the TARDIS. I also like the way that the Doctor is tested with what he said in the beginning of this audio. No time, no space. Time Lords, TARDISes, they don't mix. So it's kind of a reinversement of anti-time and time. This idea that putting anti-time to time could cause a catastrophe, but it could also cause anything from time and anything from anti-time to erode because it doesn't play by the physics of anti-time or antimatter, so to speak. Now, I can't lie, I feel like it's a very open-ended story in which you could pretty much direct it in any way. And of course, as we go on, we finally find out what happens in the next audio with our two adventurers. But as a solution, I would say it does make it a bit of a struggle to listen to towards the end, as you're really lost in this oblivion of, did they escape the sound creature, or is the sound creature just sitting around somewhere? They did deny its hunger, but that doesn't necessarily mean they beat it. Maybe it's because the sound creature could be brought back at a later date, who knows? But for now, it does leave a big question on my lips of what happened to the sound creature. But anyways, let's get to the scoring card. For that reason, I give it a solid 7 out of 10. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next Doctor Who review. Until then, stay beautiful, stay amazing, and have an incredible morning, night, or day, depending on where you are. Love you, beautifuls. Goodbye for now.